What's up, everybody? Back again. Football fans, today is the day. It is the Bills and the Rams. I'm still here in Sturgeon Bay on my patio looking over the water. It's a beautiful day today. It's Thursday. It is the 8th, and I didn't even know exactly the date. So it's the 8th, it's Thursday, it is game day for the Bills and the Rams, like I said. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I know you guys are pumped as well. I don't know who do you guys have to win tonight? Who are your predictions? Let me know in the comments below. And it's finally here. We waited 6 long months, and now we have 6 months straight of football. Not a Sunday until February without some kind of football action. So we made it, guys. We made it. So I'm still taking my vacation before the season starts here, but you know that football is here, so I have something to talk about. And yesterday I did the NFC predictions for the whole entire season, the division winners, and now I want to do the AFC before the season gets on their way. Obviously the Bills play tonight, so they're the AFC team. I wanted to get them in the prediction done before they started, so it's not skewed in any way by not being done before the season started. And obviously the Rams, I had them winning their division in the predictions yesterday. Go and check out the NFC one in the other videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But yeah, today I'm on an actual deck. I'm not in the water this time, but that was pretty fun yesterday. Just happy I didn't drop my phone. So so yeah, now on to the predictions for the AFC. I do think the Bills will win tonight. They are favored. Whatever helps the Packers, right? So if the Rams lose, it helps the Packers. So rooting for the Bills tonight, but I think it'll be a good game. The Rams do have a really solid team. Obviously, they added Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson. Stafford's back. They have Aaron Donald, of course, Jalen Ramsey. So this team looks really good, but top to bottom, on paper, the Bills might have the strongest roster as a whole. Of course, they have Josh Allen coming back and Stephon Diggs. So Gabriel Davis had 4 touchdowns in that playoff game. He might be a guy to watch out for this season in fantasy. I still have to get some more fantasy done, but I will talk to you guys about my fantasy picks later on in a different video. But so far, we will start with the AFC, although I have North first. Obviously, the Bengals last year went to the Super Bowl out of the AFC North. They did improve their team. They have improved their offensive line a lot. But I think Lamar Jackson, coming back, getting a healthy J.K. Dobbins back, hopefully sooner than later. This defense is strong again, and they're just always a consistent team. Last year was kind of a fluky year, but I think the Ravens will be back. Lamar Jackson looks bigger than he ever has, and he's still faster than he's ever been. So I think it's going to be a battle all year long between the Ravens and the Bengals. I really do think that those are the 2 teams coming out of the AFC North. Browns and Steelers, I think too much is going on with the Steelers regarding, the quarterback situation. They have 3 guys kind of battling for one spot with Pickett and Rudolph and Trubisky. I think if there's any issues with Trubisky early, they're going to want to switch to a different guy. And if there's another issue with him, they're going to want to switch either back to Trubisky or to the other guy. And that's just tough. You have to have one guy that you can stick with. I think they should have ran with Pickett. I know he went up against some of those 2s and 3s, but he played really well. He's young, but I think he's got some talent. I think it's going to be a down year for the Steelers no matter what. Maybe Tomlin's first losing season, but I still, there's just a lot of question marks. Their defense is real good, but TJ Watt is hurt. We don't know. I don't know for sure when he'll be back, and it's just don't think the Steelers did enough. I do like George Pickens, but I don't think he's enough to really put them over the top. And Trubisky, he made the playoffs with the Bears, but we'll see what he can do with this team. I just have question marks about the Steelers. And then the Browns, obviously, with Watson being out for the first 11 games, using Jacoby Brissett most likely. They have to go up against Baker Mayfield and the Panthers week 1. And with Kareem Hunt being a little upset with his situation, I know, Nick Chubb's really good in their defense with Ward and Garrett. Miles is really good. Miles Garrett is really good. So I hate to pick against the Browns because they do have a solid roster. They have Amari Cooper now on offense, so they do have some players. But I think that division is going to be really close all the way through till the end. I just think the Ravens will come out on top, and the Bengals will be a wild card coming out of that division. I cannot have the Bengals not make the playoffs after going to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow and having, improving their offensive line. They're still kind of weak on the defensive side of the ball, but they are so dynamic on offense with Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon, and Uzomah. So they have some playmakers for sure in Cincinnati. Obviously, I think they're building an indoor training facility because of Burrow. So I really think that the Bengals and Ravens, it might be the other way around. It might be Bengals who win, Ravens in second, but I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this division, coming back strong this year, make the playoffs, win the division, and vie for a number one seed. I don't think they'll be the number one seed. I think that'll probably be the Bills if I had to guess, just because I think the AFC West will beat up on themselves. But it could be the sneaky Colts. The Colts could be sneaky good this year, but we'll get to them later. Yeah, with the Bengals, having question marks on defense and just, getting Lamar Jackson back healthy. And, I know they lost Hollywood Brown, but they have Rashad Bateman, who could have a big season this year. And that Ravens defense is always really good. So I just think the Ravens have the best overall team. I know the Bengals, did a lot this offseason with the offensive line, and they have Joe Burrow. So they could be really good. I just, with the strength of schedule, it might be tough for them to repeat. I don't have them going back to the Super Bowl again. Last year was kind of an anomaly year for a team that hadn't made the playoffs the year before to go to the Super Bowl the next year. But that could be the next division I'm going to talk about. Could be the Chargers this year, who does what the Bengals did last year. And this AFC West is really, probably should have saved them for last, but they are the division that everybody is going to be watching. They're the one that is most, has the most talent, the best quarterbacks. When you're talking Justin Herbert, Chargers quarterback, and then Russell Wilson, the Broncos quarterback, Patrick Mahomes is the Chiefs quarterback, and then Derek Carr. If Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in the division, you're probably got a pretty solid group of quarterbacks there. So, Derek Carr is the Raiders quarterback, and so this division is going to be really tough. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how it all plays out, because either all the teams are really evenly matched, they all beat up on each other, and only maybe one team pops out at the end with like a 10-7 record to win the division, and the other guys are all sitting there going home, and that could be one way. Otherwise, it could be, they all kind of have really good success against each other and other teams. They whoop up on other teams, and they all have really solid records, and, all four potentially could make the playoffs. I don't think that's ever happened before, but it is a potential scenario that could occur based on, overall records, that 4 of the division winners make it, and then 3 additional wild cards make it. So it is possible. I don't know how the math would work out for that to actually occur, but that would just mean that the other divisions all really sucked, and the division winner won, but then the rest of the teams really struggled. All it has to do is equal out overall with the wins and losses. It doesn't have to equal out much in the division, I do not think. Obviously, in the division, you have 3 games at home against each team and 3 games away against each team, and so that's a lot of the games right there for the division. And if they all kind of come out equal, that's not horrible, and then they go off and win all the games against the other divisions. This division could, I keep saying division, but these guys could really be close. These teams could really be close. It's going to be fun to watch all season. So we'll start at the bottom. I have the Raiders as the number 4 team in this division. I know they did a lot this season. I know they have Derek Carr. They went out and got Chandler Jones. They went out and got Devontae Adams. They still have Josh Jacobs, a year away from Gruden. Henry Suggs drama's over with the first round cornerback Armian or whatever. He's all that stuff's kind of behind them. That's last year. They're going in with a whole new set mindset this year. They have Renfro and Waller, who look really good. So this team is primed to have a good season, which makes it so tough because they did make the playoffs last year, and that's a lot of people's argument that they made the playoffs over the Chargers. But really, neither of them should even have had a chance. The Colts should have won against the Jaguars, and they should have been in. The Chargers did lose a game against the Texans in Houston. That was really a kind of a sloppy game, and they should have won that, and then it would have been a different story as well. But what it coulda, shoulda is, right? So, but the Raiders, I think they're just going to be the odd team out this year. It's really tough because they did get better, I think, but I think the other teams got even more better. They even got they got stronger all around. Obviously with the Broncos adding Russell Wilson, that's just a huge piece of the puzzle there. Kind of what they did with adding Peyton Manning years ago. Already a pretty solid defense. He's got weapons on the outside, so we'll get to them. But the Raiders, I think, like I said, will be the odd team out. They'll be the fourth team in this division. They'll probably they could have a winning record and still not make the playoffs, which would be crazy, but it might be how it goes. So we'll see how this division works out, but I think the Raiders will be the odd team out. So then you guys might hate this pick here, but third in the division, who I have as a wild card team, so they do make the playoffs still, and obviously I could not have Patrick Mahomes make the playoffs, but I have the Chiefs kind of struggling this year to get in. They're going to be battling probably with the Raiders and Broncos all season, but I feel like the Chiefs did not get better. I know they added MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling from the Packers, the speedster, 6'5", runs a 4.3 40, but he has drop issues. That was the issue with him in Green Bay. I think that's why Green Bay didn't re-sign him, is because of his issues dropping the ball. Runs good routes, gets open, but then doesn't complete the catch, and what's the point and all the other stuff if you're not going to complete the catch. So then they also added Steelers receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. He's kind of ups and down. He's on TikTok all the time, and he's really a talented player, but keeping him focused can be a struggle. Andy Reid might be able to do that, but Patrick Mahomes, we'll see how it goes. I think Schuster can have a big season still. Obviously, they still have Travis Kelce, number one tight end in the league, basically, him and Kittle. And then they drafted Sky Moore, who I did like coming out of Western Michigan. He led the FBS in receptions last year for Western Michigan. So he's a guy that can really play kind of a slot guy, but he's got some speed and can catch. So they have weapons, obviously, in Kansas City. But to replace Tyreek Hill, a guy who can turn a 5-yard bubble screen into a 65-yard touchdown pass, is tough to do. And Sky Moore will be able to do a little bit of it, but not all of it. MVS can stretch the field, but can he catch it? And then Juju Smith-Schuster, can you keep him focused long enough? That's the question. So then on defense, losing the Honey Badger, Tyron, to the Saints, I think that's a huge loss. So losing Tyreek and Tyron, those are just huge losses that people aren't really putting enough emphasis on. I know Patrick Mahomes is great. I know he's throwing it backwards and behind his back and sidearm and with his eyes closed like Jimmy G, but he completes it. It's really awesome to watch how he plays, but how does that translate to actually on the football field? I don't think he's going to do behind the back ever in a game. If he did, if it got completed, you'd almost have to just wonder what the defense is doing, because that should not happen. We'll probably see it, but I just feel like they have Chris Jones, who's in the middle. He's great. I do like the Chiefs. I do. I just feel like they didn't get better. I feel like they kind of stayed about the same, or maybe a little bit worse, losing Tyron on the backside. So that's just tough. It's a tough loss. And then, like I said, losing the Cheetah, you lose the guy that's nicknamed the Cheetah. That's going to have an impact on your team, no doubt. So it might take a little while for these guys to get going. And remember last year when Patrick Mahomes kind of had his down spell and everybody thought he was done and all this whatever, and against the Packers he only put up 13 points. The Packers should have won that game, except for they had Jordan Love at quarterback in Kansas City, which is just a tough environment for a first start. But still, I mean, Mahomes struggled. So if he has another struggling spell and, doesn't have Tyreek to really pull him out, and, the defense really played well last year, but without the Honey Badger on the back end there, are they really going to be as good? So a lot of question marks I have for the Chiefs, and that's why, with the additions that the Broncos and the LA Chargers made this offseason, I feel like they got much better and the Chiefs did not, and they already kind of had their little ups and downs last year. So it's going to put all these teams in a position where they have to just perform right away. They don't have a lot of time to figure things out, and if a team starts off hot and gets a few game lead on them in the standings, it's going to be tough to make it up. So this division is going to be so fun. I can't wait. It really is going to be exciting. And so then number 2, who obviously another wild card team, if the Chiefs are wild card team, is the Denver Broncos. They had probably the biggest offseason quarterback move of the season. Aside from maybe Deshaun Watson with all the drama surrounding him, we know what that was all about. But Russell Wilson coming over from Seattle, a team that he got drafted to, out of Wisconsin, 3rd round. They had paid Matt Flynn to be quarterback, the Packers backup, and then drafted Russell Wilson, who came in training camp and took over the job. So Russell Wilson's been a namesake in Seattle. Obviously, they let Russ cook forever, and he was basically a walking 12 wins, and now he is a Denver Bronco. But the Broncos, they're a team that has had a defense pretty much since before Peyton and after Peyton Manning, and then now they've been searching for a quarterback. They've drafted a few, Drew Lock, they signed some, just trying to figure it out and not able to get a quarterback. So they went out and got probably the best quarterback available, arguably with Deshaun. I like Deshaun, but we haven't seen him much, obviously, in a couple years here, and we won't see him again for a few more weeks, at least 11, when he comes back to play the Houston Texans, which, go figure, I wonder how that happened. So the Broncos having Russell Wilson, though, that's a huge move. They have weapons on the outside. I know Tim Patrick's hurt. I think he's out for the season, but Cortland Sutton can have a big year. KJ Hamler can have a big year. Jerry Jeudy can have a big year. Damn, if they had Tim Patrick, that'd be freaking huge. And then they have that tight end. And with the running backs, Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, another Wisconsin guy. So, yeah, that's a cool backfield now with Russell Wilson and Melvin Gordon. Both the guys played in Wisconsin. They lost that game to, I think, Andy Dalton and TCU in the Rose Bowl, but that's a long time ago. Anyway, still cool to have Gordon and Wilson back in the backfield for, playing for the Broncos. And this defense, they went out and got some guys last year that are really talented young players. They went out and got Randy Gregory from the Cowboys this year to help rush the passer, along with with Bradley Chubb on the other side. So this defense could be really good. They got the Patrick Surtain. He's could be really, really good. And so it's just a team that, without a quarterback, you just wanted to see what they could do with the quarterback. And now they have a guy that just wins, and a guy who has a lot of weapons now, more than he had in Seattle. He's got an offensive line now, too, in Denver. They have a defense. So this Denver team could really surprise. They might be a team that takes more leaps than any other team from last year, record-wise. Obviously, going from Drew Lock to Russell Wilson is going to be a big difference, but I really think that the Broncos are going to be a tough out this year. With the Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers and Raiders, this is going to be quite the battle all season long. I can't wait to see how it goes. I know that each of these teams has aspirations of the Super Bowl, literally all four. And I know every team says, they want to make the Super Bowl, but there's teams that kind of know that we're not going to be in the Super Bowl this year. Seattle and the Texans and the Jaguars and the Bears and the Jets, the Giants, they kind of know they're not going to be in the Super Bowl. But Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders think that they can be in the Super Bowl. They think they added the pieces to make it to the Super Bowl. And when you add all-pro like Devontae Adams and then you add a guy like Russell Wilson, it's just like, wow. these teams are really serious. These GMs are really trying to go for it, and all of them kind of doing it at once is kind of puts a damper on what each team is doing, because every other team's kind of upping them, and so it's been fun to watch. It really has. Each of them has a really awesome tandem of guys that can rush the quarterback. They have Crosby and Chandler Jones in the Vegas, and then you have Chubb and Gregory in Denver. Then you have Mack and Bosa in LA with the Chargers. So that's where we'll go now, is the LA Chargers. I really am high on Justin Herbert. I think that he is going to have a MVP, Super Bowl caliber year. Chargers added pieces like J.C. Jackson, the corner, who's just a super solid corner over from New England. Then they added Khalil Mack, who we all know what Khalil Mack can do when he's healthy. We all know what he used to do with the Raiders in the past, and then we all know what he did with the Bears at first until, now the Bears let him go, which is surprising. They let him go and Akeem Hicks go, and so we'll see what the Bears can do. But anyway, the LA Chargers with Herbert, they have two $20 million receivers on the outside, which is the only team in the league that has two guys that get paid $20 million, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, which for that's really, really awesome to have two guys that are really that good. And I like Mike Williams. I always have. I think that he doesn't play as up to the standard that he has, or that people have for him, but I think he can really be a really dynamic receiver. And then Keenan Allen might be one of the best route runners in the league. He might be he's probably a top 5, top 10 receiver. Doesn't get enough credit, but he really is good. And then I think they they have Kelly in the backfield, but Austin Eckler, this guy, came out of a small school, really was kind of undervalued. No one really, he's just a smaller guy, but he can catch the ball so well. He's so fast and shifty. He's really powerful and strong, and he can really run. This guy could have a big season. I think he had 20 touchdowns last year. So he's a guy that, at only 27 years old, he can have a really solid season and years to come. I really just like this Chargers team, and we haven't even got to the defense yet, and I haven't finished talking about Justin Herbert yet. So I just feel like with having it's Joey Bosa. I think I might have said Nick Bosa before. He's the 49er. But so you got Bosa and Mack on the outside. Then you have Derwin James as the safety, and then like I said, you have J.C. Jackson in at cornerback. So this team is stacked on all levels. They have Pro Bowl, all pro players. I just really like this Chargers team, how they set it up. They have they added offensive line pieces last year. They got Corey Linsley. They drafted that guy in the first round last year. That is really, really probably one of the better players in the league already in his second year. I think that's Rashawn Slater. I think that's the guy that they have. So this team is really, like I said, is prone to make a huge jump. I know they didn't make the playoffs last year. They had some weird losses last year where they, like I said, against the Texans, and Rashawn Slater. Yeah, so I was right. So I just wanted to check quick. Yeah, they just this offensive line with Slater and Linsley, and then like I said, they have Joey Bosa, and they got Sebastian Joseph Day on the inside there, Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. They did get Kyle Van Noy, Asante Samuel Jr., Nasir Adderley. This team is prone and primed to have a big season. I just really like where they're at. They have Jerry Tiller on the D-line, Austin Johnson as well. So they have playmakers on both sides of the ball. Who do they have at tight end? Gerald Everett. So they don't have Jerry Cook anymore. But Everett's actually really good. He can be quite the pass option out of the on the field, just because he's kind of a wide receiver in a tight end body, just taller and a little bigger than a wide receiver would be. So I really like where he is, or where this team is at, like I said. And then Justin Herbert, what more can I say about him? As his second year, people are down on him, or some people are high on him, but I'm just so high on him. I think he is better than Herbert. I mean, better than Burrow. Herbert's better than Burrow. I think he's better than a lot of these other young quarterbacks. Maybe not better than Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's better than Lamar Jackson. I think he's better than Josh Allen. I think Herbert is, going to be the next level quarterback that other quarterbacks try to reach. Last year, his second year, he had 38 touchdowns and over 5,000 yards passing, which, not a lot of quarterbacks have done the 5,000 yard thing. I know it's Jameis Winston did it, but he had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. Matt Stafford did it a few years ago when he had Kelvin Johnson, I think, so with the Lions. But, still, to have 38 touchdowns with 5,000 yards passing in your second season, he's just going to learn more. He's going to understand defense concepts more. He's going to understand his protections more. There's going to be a lot more opportunities for him with his defense being better. And all in all, I think, he can have another 5,000 yards season with over 40 touchdowns easily this year. I think he actually has a chance. I think if you average 352 yards passing per game, you have a chance at hitting 6,000 yards this season. And I know that's kind of saying a lot and asking a lot, especially every game all year in the colder months. And, some games you just are off a little bit. But 352 in this day and age, with how the league is such a passing-oriented league and all that, I really think that it could be possible that one of these guys at some point hits 6,000 yards. Of course, if they add another game, they have 18 games, then it probably will be done at some point. But I think right now, Herbert is a guy that could do it if, with these two $20 million receivers with Eckler and this defense. Chargers win the AFC West. I think that after last year when they didn't make the playoffs, it kind of was a weird end to it. I think their coach maybe is going to shape up a little bit when it comes to going forward on 4th and 30. This isn't Madden, so you got to put your team in the best position to win, and you got to set them up so that they're not going to fail, and putting them behind the numbers and setting the defense up in a bad spot or trying to get the offense to do something that's almost impossible isn't ideal. So I think they'll learn from last year. I think they'll be better this year, and obviously the team's better this year. Herbert will take a jump this year, and I know the other teams got better as well, but I think that they followed suit and kept up with every team. The Broncos made the most changes, which I think they will be really a tough out. The Chiefs will always be tough. The Chiefs can run away with this division easily. I'm not saying they won't, but this is just going to be my prediction for the year based on trying to throw a little bit of what I think and how all this stuff kind of could work out. Because, like I said, it could be one of these teams that makes the playoffs and none of the other ones make it because they all beat up on themselves, or all four can make it because they're just the better division and the other teams suck. Or it could be a mix of 2-2 or 3-2, but or 3-1. But we will see. But right now I have the Chargers winning it, Broncos second, and Chiefs third, all making the playoffs with the Raiders as the odd team out. So on to the AFC East. So this one is not as difficult to figure out as some of the other ones here. I think the AFC East is definitely one of the weaker divisions. The South is probably the weakest. The East is probably the second weakest. A team, they have the Jets, Patriots, Dolphins, and the Bills. The only team I really feel that's going to make the playoffs out of this division is the Bills. That's why, I wanted to get to this video, because they are playing tonight against the Rams. I think they will win. They're favored on the road against the Super Bowl champs, which is an odd, scenario, but that's the way it is right now. And so I think the Bills with, Josh Allen coming into another season. That's why Herbert had 38 touchdowns and 5,000 yards passing. Josh Allen's never had that. And Josh Allen is going into his fourth year, I think, so Herbert's going into his third, so it's a bit different. I need to see a little more out of Josh Allen. I think he is really good. I think they're in a division that allows them to, make a little more mistakes and kind of have the same success still. But, with the team they have, they got Dalvin Cook's brother, they have Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox, that defense with Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, it's really a solid team, all from top to bottom. That defense is really going to be tough this year. I think that overall their roster might be tops in the league, and it's just putting it all together. We all saw that game against the Chiefs last year with Allen and Mahomes going back and forth at it, and he proved that he really is the guy, or can be the guy. For the first couple of years, he relied a lot on his athleticism, and we thought maybe he was just a little inconsistent and a little inaccurate, things of that nature. But he has probably taken the biggest leap of any quarterback we've almost ever seen that really struggled with accuracy, and now is really pretty consistent. So I'm excited to see what the Bills can do. It could be their year. We all, when I first started watching football back in the early 90s, it was Bills Super Bowls 4 years in a row when I first started watching. And, that they lost to, I think, the Redskins, the Giants, and the Cowboys, which consecutively. So if they made it back and were able to, make a run at the Super Bowl or even get back to the Super Bowl, that would be really cool for the city of Buffalo and for the team itself, just because of, they've always been close to relevant, the Music City Miracle and all those things when the Titans beat them. That was like the last time they were really close, besides now with Josh Allen. So it could be their year. People are calling it the Bills' year. They could easily be the number one seed with how many wins they can have in this division, and they're just really tough. So if they can get off to the 2022 season with a win against the Rams, that could be huge for their just momentum for the entire season. And if the Rams lose, it's going to be tough for them to keep the momentum going against the 49ers, Cardinals, Packers, Bucks, Cowboys, it's Eagles. It's going to be a tough division or conference in the NFC. So tonight's game really is a big deal, and I think the Bills come out on top, and I think the Bills win this division, and I think they probably win this conference, because I think all these other teams are going to beat up on themselves a little bit. The Bills kind of squeak out of an easy division, and there's just a few question marks with the Colts. So I don't know. They probably would have an easier time doing what I think the Bills will do, but I think the Bills are a better team overall. So, but in the rest of the AFC East, teams are going to, they're going to win games that you think, oh, they should probably lose that, and they're going to lose games that they should probably win. And I'm talking about the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. Miami Dolphins, though, they might have the fastest team in the league, maybe in history, with Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds in the backfield, and then I think they have Sony Michel too, and then they have Jalen Waddle, who's a speedster. They got Cedric Wilson, who's fast, and then Tyreek Hill, and then Mike Gesicki, who's also a speedster tight end, which kind of an oxymoron, but from tight ends, as tight ends go, he's really fast. So this offense, and I think they got Eric Armstead, a tackle for Tua. So Tua, everybody talks about Tua. Tua, people are down on. People don't really understand, think that he's a bust with the hip injury and everything. Tua came in, I think he was a freshman maybe it was like a redshirt freshman or sophomore season, but he came in that game, in the national championship game, when Hurts couldn't get it going and they were going to lose otherwise. Tua came in and his passes were so precise. He got that one to Devontae Smith in the end zone for the touchdown when Devontae Smith was a rookie, I think. A freshman too. So it was one of the most impressive displays of a backup coming in and just lighting it up that I've ever seen. And I know Tua, since then has had success and had injuries, and now in the NFL it's a little bit of a up and down. But he came in with COVID that year. It's a lot of controversy, a lot of conflict going on surrounding that. A lot of pressure with having Fitzmagic there and everything. So Ryan Fitzpatrick. So it's just now having him be the guy. I think he can be really good. Maybe he can't throw the ball 70 yards, but how often do these guys really throw it that far? And I think he'll be so precise and accurate that you just got to get the ball in, Mostert's or Edmonds or Waddle's hands or Hill's hands, short screens, short bubble screens, just end arounds, jet sweeps, whatever. Get the ball in these guys' hands and get them going north and south, and I think they can have success. I still, the defense is always kind of good. It's always been pretty good when Brian Flores was there. I think they're going to kind of carry that over now. But I like their coach. I do like their coach. I think, he's kind of a funny guy, but I do like him. And I think this Dolphins team can win some games. I think it'll be like a 9-8, 8-9 season with the Dolphins Patriots. I think they'll kind of go flip flop, either 9-8 Dolphins, 8-9 Patriots, or the vice versa. But I think that's kind of where they'll be at. I don't really like picking exact records for all the different teams because I am not going to go through and do the math and make sure it's like 442 and 442 or whatever it's supposed to come out to be. So I just kind of give a little rough guesstimate. But I do think the Jets will be bad. So I hope they can make some advances. But anyway, so the Dolphins should, oh man, it's getting windy. So the Dolphins should, win some games, and I think they'll be close. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. Like I said, I think a lot of those teams will come out of the AFC West and the Bengals, so it doesn't leave any other rooms for wild cards in the AFC East or AFC South. It's just going to be the division winners, and I think those will be, like I said, the Bills and the Colts. But so then we get to the Patriots, and the Patriots are doing a lot of weird stuff. We all know that. We know they have Mac Jones, second-year quarterback. We know that they have Belichick, but he's like trying to call offensive plays, and then they have Joe Judge, who is a special teams coach, who they want to be like quarterback coach, and then they have Patricia from the old defensive guy that became the Lions coach, and now he's back, and he's going to coach offense too, I think. So it's really complicated, and I don't think it's really going to help Mac Jones's growth. They do have an expensive receiving core, but not really a very talented receiving core. They have the most expensive tight end tandem in the league with Hunter Henry and Juno Smith, but I don't know. Henry's good. I like him, but then, they have running backs. James White retired, but they have Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. So they have some guys that can run the ball. This defense is always pretty good, but they did get rid of a lot of their talent. Like I said, they lost J.C. Jackson. They lost Kyle Van Noy. So they really just want to go cheap, and we'll see what the Patriots can do. I think there's going to be a lot of question marks. I think people are going to be wondering what Belichick's up to, and I just don't see them having the same kind of success. I think we're really seeing Brady's genius here when it comes to Belichick's, lack of, wins, and just he looks a little lost when it comes to strategizing and things of that nature. Maybe we'll all be eating our words. Maybe the Patriots will be awesome this year, but I just don't think so. It's not how it goes a lot of the time. I know football coaches are football coaches, and these guys can still coach regardless. It doesn't really matter. But you'd still think when you have a young second-year quarterback, you'd want some guys that are more suited for that scenario, and not a special teams guy who failed as a head coach like Joe Judge. So we'll see what the Patriots do. I'm not very high on them, but I do like Mac Jones, and I wish him the best this year. So on to the Jets. The Jets are coming in already with an injured Zach Wilson. He'll be out till at least week 4. That means they're starting the super old ex-MVP Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is not going to win you a lot of games. He does have a big arm still, but he's not mobile at all. He's going to take a lot of sacks, probably throw some interceptions, and this Jets team cannot afford to do that. I do like, Elijah Moore. I do like Breece Hall. I do like Garrett Wilson, the draft pick. I do like what they did on defense, getting Sauce Gardner. Sorry, not Juice. Juice was OJ. Sauce, and then I like, Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State, the defensive end. But Packers, Wake Forest, Zach Tom, lineman stopped him cold last year when they were playing. So we'll see how the Jets do. I just don't think there's enough firepower there. I don't think they have enough on offense or defense. If Zach Wilson comes back, I still don't think it's enough. I think he's kind of a reckless player, and I think he's still got a lot to learn when it comes to the NFL. So I think the Jets struggle again, probably not more than 4 or 5 wins again this season. It's a bummer because it is nice when New York teams are better, but I think they struggle. So, AFC East, that'll be the Bills winning it, and then Dolphins, Patriots, Jets following them, not making the playoffs. Bills will be the only team out of the East. And then AFC South, pretty similar to how the East will go. The AFC South is kind of a tricky division because a lot of these teams are not very good. At the bottom, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have a new head coach now, Doug Peterson, who I like. So, Trevor Lawrence should have a much improved season. I liked him a lot coming out of Clemson. I just like the golden boy, the blonde hair, the big arm, and I think he can be really a lot better player. They went out and got some pieces for him, so I think this team will be much improved. They got Christian Kirk from the Cardinals, and just Travis Etienne coming out of the backfield and not with all the drama with Urban Meyer, and the defense, they added Travion Walker, and they have that Josh Allen guy from a couple years ago. So this defense could be good. They beat the Colts last year in that game that they had to win, and I think that there's going to be some improvement there with the Jaguars, but just not enough to make them really a contender or really a tough team to a team to beat. They're going to get some wins against some teams that you might think, but it's still going to be a tough season for the Jaguars. And then the Texans, I like Davis Mills, second highest graded quarterback as a rookie last year. They have Brandon Cooks. I think one of their stars on defense is Christian Kirksey, though, the linebacker that the Packers had a few years ago. I think he's a captain. So Texans, not a lot of pieces up front or as weapons or any of those things, but Brandon Cooks could have a big season. I always liked him as a receiver. He's pretty much all they have, though, and I just don't think there's enough there for the Texans with all the drama with Deshaun Watson leaving, and now he'll be coming back week 12, I think, to play them. Maybe that's week 13, but either way, it's a long season, and Texans just have to get kind of through this. I do like Davis Mills. Like I said, I think he's going to win some games. He's got a big arm, but they might be they might be shopping for a new quarterback next year, depending on the season. But they just need a lot more talent overall. And they've never really been a super talented team, top to bottom. They've had some good players that have helped them win, like Watson and Hopkins. But Texans will struggle this year, and the Jaguars might actually be ahead of them at the end of the season, but here I kind of have Texans, Jaguars just rounding out the bottom here. So then this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Do the Titans make the playoffs? Do one of the AFC West teams not make the playoffs and the Titans make it? I don't have them making it this year. I have the Titans struggling. They're going to be better than the Texans and Jaguars, but not much better, I don't think. Ryan Tannehill, he's an okay quarterback. I never thought he was that good. He's won some games. Derrick Henry's still a beast, but without A.J. Brown, they're going to really struggle. I know they went out and got Burks, the receiver out of college, and they have some players, but nothing that's really. I know they got Robert Woods from the Rams, but he's coming off the ACL, and just not a lot of weapons for Tannehill. He's the guy that needs guys that can really help him look better. Derrick Henry can't do it all, and if Henry gets hurt, knock on wood, then then it's over for the Titans. So I think the Titans will struggle this year. I know their defense is always pretty good. I know he's got those guys ready to rock. Vrabel does, so they should be, 9-8, 8-9, so maybe they'll be close to vying for a playoff spot. I just think that AFC West is going to be too good, and it's not going to leave a lot of opportunities for other teams. So maybe they'll be battling with the Bengals for that final playoff spot, but like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how they look this year, especially they traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles, and that was really their biggest playmaker. Then they had Julio Jones, who also left to go to Tampa, so they lost their two top targets from last year, and didn't really. They replaced them with some guys, but nothing really that's guaranteed. Like I said, Robert Woods is coming off the injury, and the rookie Burks is kind of too big for receiver and too small for tight end. So we'll see how he translates. He could be a Deebo Samuel type player, and that could be effective. So we'll see. But Titans, I think, do struggle and do not make the playoffs after being a 1 seed last year. I just think it's going to be a tough season. And then That means that the Colts win the AFC South. The Colts, to me, are the team to beat. They could be the number 1 seed based on the struggle or the difficulty and schedules that the other teams have. The Colts, since they did not make the playoffs, their strength of schedule isn't too crazy. They have some tough games, but Jonathan Taylor is the man of the hour. He could be the MVP this season. He could have been it last season. This guy could have easily 2,000 yards rushing and over 500 yards receiving, and over 20 touchdowns. That means 2,500 yards and over, 2,000, 20 touchdowns, which could be really a crazy season for him. This guy is the workhorse. He can do it all. He's a track star from New Jersey back in high school. Workhorse back at Wisconsin, and just keeps running. I love this kid on Wisconsin. Go Jonathan Taylor. I think you can be the best running back in the league by far. And then you add, they have an awesome offensive line. They have Michael Pittman Jr. on the outside. They have another speedster receiver, and then they drafted the rookie out of Cincinnati, Alec Pierce, who I liked a lot. They have Mo Alley Cox at tight end, big, tall tight end. That offensive line's probably top 3 in the league, with Quentin Nelson there in the middle. And then that defense, they really, with Darius Leonard, and then they have Buckner in the middle. It's just a really solid team up front. I just really like the Colts overall. It's a lot of guys that are just good at their job, like a lot of B players all over the place, and not a lot of C or and then a few A's. So there's just a lot of talent, a lot of guys that do their job really well and don't have a lot of holes in the team at all. Then, like I said, you add a guy like Matt Ryan, who MVP, who's been in Super Bowls. I know they lost their lead, and they're up 28-3, but that's neither here or there. Matt Ryan's still a great quarterback. He was the 3rd-round pick out of Boston College to Atlanta years ago, and now, he's never been mobile, but he's a lot less mobile, but he's got some talent. He's got the offensive line. This guy can really make some plays. He can be really effective. I like this team. Like I said, with the Bills will probably run away with the number 1 seed, but the Colts could be the number 2 seed easily, and the AFC West could probably sprinkle in the middle after that, and then maybe the Bengals at the end trying to grab on for dear life and make the playoffs. So that's kind of how I have it structured, but Colts could be really a tough out this year, I think, with the running game towards the later parts of the season. With this offensive line and this defense, it's kind of a real good combination to win and for a really good season this year. So that is the AFC predictions for 2022. Like I said again, AFC North winner will be the Ravens, AFC West winner will be the Chargers, AFC East winner will be the Bills, and AFC South winner will be the Colts, with the Broncos, Chiefs, and Bengals all making the playoffs as wild cards. We all know that there's only one number 1 seed and then 6 wild cards, so it makes it really a lot more fun. The number 1 seed actually didn't really matter last year too much. The Titans and the Packers both lost, so I think it was both 4 seeds who made it last year, Rams and Bengals. So we'll see how it goes this year. We'll see what the seedings mean, and we'll see how each team does. But thanks again, guys, for watching. Don't forget, Rams, Bills tonight. Bills are favored. I think the Bills will win, but I'm super excited to watch. Hope you guys are excited too. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel and check out other videos. Peace out, guys. Go Packers, and see you in the next one. Later.